Hello and welcome back. Now today I'm going to be trying to finish up the interior on the S10 for several reasons. One, I like to get the dash in order to mock up the new aftermarket heater, make sure it fits. Now I don't want to put the dash in without it being finished because it requires using vinyl dye paint and painting it, and I'd rather just do that out of the truck. So I'm going to take the chance and do it. Now it's actually warmer today than it has been in several days. There's no rain, the sun is out for the most part with the exception of a few clouds. So hopefully they'll give me a chance to actually do the dash and center console like I like. Now there's a saying in Arkansas, if you don't like the weather, stick around, it'll change. That being said, I don't want to wait and then tomorrow it's probably going to be pouring rain and cold again. I won't be able to do this. Now I could have went up under and did the wiring harness and fuel lines and exhaust, but I can do that in the cold. That don't bother me as long as it's not raining and wet. So I'm going to take today and try to fix the dash. Now there's a few cracks in it. I'm going to try some new things to try to fix the cracks and make it look better. Now remember, this is the budget build, so I'm not trying to put too much money into it. So let's get to it. So now what I'm going to try is this plastic weld from JB Weld. It's supposed to be really good. I'm going to go in here, fill these cracks after I clean it with acetone, including in the console. And then of course I'm going to use a vinyl fabric dye from Dupe Color again, since it worked so well on the seats, and it seemed to work decently on the dash. I didn't clean the dash actually, and that spray from several weeks ago is still on there and it's not coming off, so I'm going to say it's going to be pretty good for this. Alright, now time for this plastic weld, and let's see if it works. Let's do a little at a time. Alright, now got the JB Weld plastic weld on there, and of course JB Weld stinks as always. It doesn't look like it's going to do exactly what I want. The one crack was too big, and getting it to stay there fill would take probably another tube of it. It is curing and drying. Now my thought is to buy a dash mat cover for it and just be done with it. But I'm still going to paint the rest of it where the dash mat will not cover to match the rest of the interior and the dash mat. But hopefully that JB Weld plastic will actually keep it from cracking more in the future in those areas. So I'm going to wait and let it cure, then go back, sand it a little bit, smooth it off, paint it, and then install it in the truck. Alright, now what I did here is after this cured, I actually went and put a little body filler into these larger cracks, and including on the console, because I figured once this glue actually dried, it's felt to hold very well to keep it from flexing and moving. So body filler should actually work decently well now that it ain't going to flex as much, and it should hold position. So still, unfortunately, I hate to say it, I think I'm going to have to get a dash mat cover for this part of the dash, and it'll just cover this top section. So this other part, I have to clean a little bit more and go ahead and paint the center console, since I don't have any option like that. I'm going to try to make sure this body filler works on that. So here goes nothing. Okay, now there's some trimming and everything I need to do to actually get everything fit right. And it's mostly because the gauge cluster out of the 94 heavy half is a little bit bigger than the S10 gauge cluster. So I'm going to have to trim it in order to get everything to fit. But luckily, where I have to trim it, like on these corners, mainly on this side, there's nothing behind it to cause interference. So that should be able to work very well. And now I'm going to get the adapter plate for stereo here. And I'm trying to make sure behind all there I have room for the heater. It looks like it's going to be very close. Now I have the Camaro center console in. I have to make a lid for it, or find an original lid and box for this after I get it secured down. Now that was sitting in there when I bought it, but it's secure enough that it should hold the center console no problem. The shifter, I need to make a beauty plate of some kind to go around there, make that look better. So it's no big deal. I still got a little bit of wiring work to do. Need to find a place for that as well. So there's a little bit of this and that to tidy up. It's not too bad. I mean, at least it's starting to look like a truck again. I do not have a glove box, and I do not have that little bezel that goes around the handle, which is this piece right here. So there's a few interior trim pieces I'm going to have to get, including this plastic cover that goes here. but I'll worry about that another time. Now the next step is to try to mount the heater somewhere under there, as well as that. I don't want to mount them too close and get that warm. So luckily, looks like there's a lot of room back here, but that's where I'm thinking about putting the stereo. So I'm not 100% sure yet. There's several different options. I may put the stereo down here. That way the heater won't get it hot. And I'll just make a little side panel here. Fabricate some kind of little bezel in order to hold the radio in and make it look good. And then right here, if I put the heater back here, or technically it'll be for defrosting really, I'm sure I could figure out something to go there, no problem. Over here, I'll have to figure out let's see, what was there? Oh, the heater controls were here on this one. Since this is the S10, using the aftermarket heater, I may put the controls here, fabricate a piece of aluminum to go here to fill that void and have the controls here, or I may put the controls there. I may add some aftermarket gauges here and fab the panel for them, or over there, or vice versa. Whatever comes to mind after I get the heater and the wiring all put in, and then tighten down the dash and get the gauges where it should be, then I'll go from there. Alright, now there it is. Now thankfully, that paint actually does look pretty good, that vinyl dye. So I'm happy with the results of that. I'm not surprised about the fabrication of the dash. Made a few minor things here and there, like trying to figure out the fuse block on the wiring harness, because it's a little bit bigger than what was on the S10. Other few things here and there I need to figure out, but not going to be too bad. But that dash fits, obviously. Now it's just making the wiring harness fit nicely, neatly, the gauge cluster fit nicely, neatly, and a little bunch of little stuff here and there, which won't be too bad. The heater, that's going to be the little test, trying to get that in there. Now I did have a little bit of fitment issues when I put the exact same one in the 80 model over there, and honestly, I think the distance between the firewall and the dash is about the same, honestly. It's just obviously the width of the truck, which is really the difference. So I think if I find the proper place for it, it'll work, hopefully. And then I can just get the ducts and run them up to the defroster vents under the windshield, just like I did on the 80 model, which will actually work fine. I took a friend of mine for a ride in the 80 model, and the heater works extremely well. In fact, it works plenty better than the factory heater in my daily driver 81. So that being said, that smaller cab, same heater, it'll work great in there. So now hopefully you enjoyed this, and as always, thanks for watching.